Hello everyone and you're welcome. In this lesson, we're going to learn how to plot a pie chart with matplotlib. So let's go ahead and begin. So the first thing I'm going to do is to import matplotlib. .pyplot as plt, as we've always done. And I also like to import the matplotlib inline using the magic method. So I'm just going to say matplotlib inline, and this should allow us to see the scale of our plots when we create them. So next thing I'm going to do is just to create a set of lists that would represent the data for our pie chart. So the first one I'm going to create is called Fifi's Cakes. And I'm going to just create a list of 4 strings. So the first one, second, the third, and then the fourth string. And in here, I'm just going to pass in the cakes. So I'm just going to say cupcake. And we're using the fictional store, and I'm going to say carrot cake, just like that. And I'll just do a sponge cake, and then finally I'll just do chocolate cake. So that's our first list, and then I'm going to create a cost for these cakes. So these are going to be float values, so I'm just going to create 150, 100 for the carrot cake, let's say a 90, and then 45. And these have to match the same number. So I have 4 elements in the set, and then I have 4 costs. And the next thing I'm going to do is to also create the color, because I would like to set the color of the pie chart. So the first one is going to be gold. And I'll create a let's say light blue, or let's say light sky blue, and then we'll pick a let's say light green, and then finally let's say we pick yellow. Alright, so now that we've had that, another parameter we can actually use is called the explode, which is going to be a list that will contain how we want the pie chart to slice out. So I'll just go ahead and create that, and we'll see that in action in a few steps. So the first value I'll create is let's say 0. I'll say 0.2 because I want 0.2 to the second item to tear out by a value of 0.2. Now 0.2 is going to work. I'll just put it like that. So we'll see how this is. So now that I have that, the next thing I'm going to do is to create my plot. So let's just say creating the plot, the figure, comma, axes. So I'll just say fig, comma, axes, and we're using the object approach. I'll just say plt dot subplots, just like that. If we run this, we should see an empty subplot, right? So that's great. So next thing, we're going to add the pie. So I'll just say axes dot pie, and then we'll pass in the values. So the first thing I'm going to pass in is the cost, because this is what the pie chart is going to use to create the percentage. So now I have the cost. I'll set that explode as exp, which is going to draw our chart and then cut off explode out a section. And then we need our labels. So our labels is going to be the text value that's going to be displayed when we create that. I'll just call that Fifi's. Just say Fifi underscore cakes, and then the auto PCT. Now basically this makes sure that it's actually the values you're displaying is actually let's say we want to display our calculations to 2 significant figures for the chart. We'll actually use auto PCT for it. So that's what auto PCT is for. It's just formatting. It's just a way to format your output, and we'll be using Python string format. So we'll use the percent symbol, and if I want it to 2 significant figures, I'll pass in F, and then I'll use double percent symbols just to close that. So that's what the auto PCT is for. So I'll set the shadow to be true, so we can have shadows when we draw that, and then we'll set a start angle, and I'll set that to say 90 degrees, and then finally I'll set the color Let's use that comma. Just say colors to be equal to the colors. I actually called mine colors, so I'll set this to color. So let me just go ahead and just see if everything is super fine. So to display this, I'll just use the plt.show just to make sure everything runs fine, and we can actually see the results. So if I want to display this to one significant figure, I'll just use 0.1, and notice what happens to the 11.69. So if I run this, it's just 11 point, it rounded that off. So I'll set this back to two significant figures, and notice the explode, we're actually exploding the carrot cake. If I actually change the explode to 0.3, it should explode sponge cake. So let's go ahead and run that and run this. So we actually see sponge cake is being exploded. So we can actually go ahead and add a legend just so we can actually have our legend to look good, and we can always make sure that this remains a circle by setting an aspect. So let's go ahead and add our legend. So to add our legend, I'm simply going to say axes dot legend, and I'll just pass in where I want that legend to come from. So it's going to be Fifi underscore cakes, because if you look at it, that's the name of the sections of that pie chart. And then I'll just set the best location by using loc equals best, just like that. And also to make sure we have an equal aspect, I'm just going to say axes dot, and whoops, just go ahead and just maximize this. So I'm just going to say axes dot axis, and then within here I'm just going to set a value of equal, just like that. So let's just go ahead and save our project, and then let's run this, and you can see we have the legend kind of showing up right now. So we have the legend showing, we have the axes showing. So basically that's how you can create a quick pie chart, a basic pie chart using matplotlib. See you guys in the next lesson.